So I really needed a new storage system for all of my vintage clothing, and I thought that putting it all in a case would be a great idea. I absolutely love the graphics on these cases. I'm a huge fan of the vintage artwork that came out during this era of Barbie. So this is a really beautiful example of a number 5 ponytail Barbie. Hey everyone, it's Ian and welcome back to my channel. Today, I thought it would be a very fun video to share with you all of the vintage Barbie and Ken cases that I have acquired throughout my few years of collecting. Now, full disclaimer, I am not an expert on any of these cases. I actually generally don't collect cases. I normally just acquire them through bidding on lots or purchasing from estate sales. Now, a lot of resellers sometimes are under the impression that the cases are very valuable, but I will just say this from my own personal experience in collecting vintage Barbie, the cases really do not hold their value like the dolls and their fashions do. I always recommend to check out eBay sold listings. That is generally speaking a really good place to reference current market prices. But on the flip side, if you do really like vintage Barbie merchandise, these are still really good deals. Now, as we all know, Barbie was originally released in 1959, but it actually wasn't until 1961 that the first case on behalf of Mattel was produced for Barbie. It gets a little confusing, but some of the earlier cases have the inscription of the word ponytail on them. I used to think as a collector that that was just a reference to the Ponytail Barbie, but it's actually a completely different company that produced some of these earlier cases, and they were known as the Ponytail Company. To know if you have one of the older cases, you always just want to look on the case to see if you can find that ponytail logo. It's generally in the right hand or bottom left hand corner of the case. So just some fun trivia here. As I mentioned, these cases were produced in 1961, so I do think it's important to note which type of Barbies were available during that era. So by 1961, we were already at the 5th variant of the Ponytail Barbie, and she is referred to many collectors as a number 5. And I do happen to have one here today to show you as an example. So this is a really beautiful example of a number 5 ponytail Barbie. She happens to be in mint condition. She has retained all of her original face paint, and she actually still even has her original ponytail. I think she is one of the most beautiful dolls in my collection. Number 5 ponytail Barbies were created with a newer formula that Mattel was experimenting with, and unfortunately the plasticizer within the vinyl causes a leaching effect, which actually gives the doll the appearance of a very greasy face. So these number 5 ponytail dolls are often referred to as the greasy faced Barbie. 1961 was also the year that Barbie got a new look. This was the year that the Bubble Cut Barbie was released in conjunction with the ponytails that were still being produced. This bubble cut I'm showing you here is not the earliest version that would have come out. I believe this one is from about 1962 or even possibly 1963, but she is a faithful representation of a bubble cut Barbie. I really like the bubble cuts. I think they're vastly underrated and they're still very affordable if you want to collect Barbie, but you don't want to pay top dollar for a bunch of dolls. Anyway, without further ado, let's dive in and let me show you some of the cases that I have. So this is the earliest case I have. It's from 1962. It has really beautiful artwork. I absolutely love the graphics on these cases. I am a huge fan of the vintage artwork that came out during this era of Barbie. This case is pretty simple. It's a case for one doll, and when you open it, you have one little section for the doll where she goes, and it's hard to see, but there is a wire hanger here at the top, and that is where you would hang all of the clothing. And this one isn't in the greatest shape. You would also have little boxes that would go at the bottom, and that is where you would store all of your accessories. Some of these other cases do have the little boxes, so I will be able to show you those in just a minute. The reason why I also wanted to introduce you to the Bubble Cut Barbie today is that we can see she is prominently displayed on this box. I also forgot to mention the fashions that are featured on this case. They're two of my absolute favorite fashions. We have Evening Splendor, which is this beautiful dress that I just showed you on that number 5 ponytail that I have. And we also have Friday Night Date, which is a real classic outfit as well. 1961 also saw the release of Ken. I don't know offhand if there was a 1961 version of a case created for Ken, but I do happen to have a version that came out in 1962. Ken is still a little bit more affordable than Barbie, so just as a side note here, if you really like this era, but you're not really particularly drawn to Barbie, I would actually encourage you to collect Ken. He's just a lot more affordable. Anyway, this case is in a lot better shape than the one that I previously showed you, and it does have those really cute little accessory boxes as well. I do really love these little accessory boxes that come with these cases. A lot of the fashions during this time period had a lot of accessories, and shoes were always notorious for getting lost, so I think it was very smart to incorporate this mechanism into the cases. There also is a little wire at the top, and that is where you would hang all of your clothing for Ken. Speaking of Ken, I totally forgot to show him. Anyway, this is a 1962 version of Ken. He's a little different than the original Ken because he does not have the flocked hair. By 1962, just a year after his initial release, he already had what many creators refer to as a do-over. And basically that flocked hair was removed and his face mold was actually changed a little bit too. I actually prefer the 1962 version of Ken to the flocked hair version. The flocking on the earlier dolls doesn't hold up very well. They just don't look that great in my opinion. I really like this version of Ken a lot better, and he actually is wearing the exact same outfit that you see on the graphic of his case. This might be my favorite Barbie case that I have. It has the very popular red flare outfit. We also have 2 Bubble Cut Barbies featured on the cover of this case. I particularly love this one because it has like almost a wallpaper floral background. In many ways, it could kind of act like a little house, and I'm sure that some of these little girls that played with Barbie back in the day used these as homes. So next up, we have my most deluxe and special case that I will be showing you. This is a double wide case that came out in 1964, and we have a Bubble Cut Barbie, we have a Swirl Ponytail Barbie, and we actually even have Midge, Barbie's friend, featured on here as well. So fun fact, 1964 was in fact the last year that ponytail Barbies were produced. We had the classic ponytails, and then we also had for 1 year the highly coveted Swirl Ponytail Barbie. So all of the earlier ponytails had the classic poodle curls in the front, but the Swirl Ponytail Barbie actually has that really pretty piece of long bang that wraps into the back of the ponytail. Anyway, I just wanted to show you an example of the type of Barbie doll that was available during the release of this case. As I previously mentioned, I don't really collect cases, but this was an exception. I had to have this one because it's a double wide case, and I want you to check this out. Look how cool it is on the inside once you fill it with your doll and all of her clothes. So I really needed a new storage system for all of my vintage clothing, and I thought that putting it all in a case would be a great idea. I really like to visually see everything, and as you can see, there are not 1 but 3 accessory boxes. So I have shoes, little leaflet inserts with the fashions, and accessories all in these little pockets down here. And up here we have all of the clothing, and I even put one of my Swirl Ponytail Barbies in here for display. I do have a really beautiful glass display cabinet case in my living room, and this sits very proudly there. I did get this idea from Sue's Barbie Love, so I wanted to give her some credit. I really love her channel, and she was the one that had a video initially about how to organize your Barbie clothing. I took her advice, and I'm really happy with how mine came out. This was the only exception that I made for actually buying a case. As I mentioned, all of these other cases were acquisitions when I purchased from estate sales that contained the contents of dolls and clothing inside of them. I hope that you enjoyed today's video and found it super informative. In my next video, I'm going to cover this bad boy over here, which actually isn't a case. Well, it kind of sort of is, but it contains the contents of Barbie and Skipper's deluxe house, which was a 1965 Sears exclusive. It is my favorite Barbie house of all time, and I'm going to be really excited to share that one with you in my next video. Anyway, you guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please do me a big favor by liking the video. That's really going to help this small channel to grow. I'm really going to aim to push new content out every week. So if you enjoy my content, definitely consider subscribing to my channel. My name is Ian, and I hope to catch you in the next video. Bye.